Oh, check out a piece I put up. That shit right here. It's pretty badass. I need a machete. Well, I'm more inspired by graffiti work than I am by an actual photographer, even though I love photography. So a lot of my ideas stem from the colors of graffiti and street art, which I was doing before, using spray cans, that kind of artwork, as opposed to, well, how do you say it? No, I'm trying to think of the right wording. I never had the camera. I'm usually the guy on the other side of the camera. So the camera on me is like, I'm trying to pretend you're not there. I'm just talking to you. So yeah, so graffiti was my inspiration in a lot of my new work that I do with photography, colors and shapes and that whole aspect. And I'm more influenced by that than I am by actual famous photographers from the past. I don't know. Graffiti inspires me more than anything, actually, I would say, when it comes to photography, and I stick to that because it makes my work stand out a little more than the average photographer who shoots flowers or weddings or cars. There's nothing wrong with that, it's just not me. Or, I don't know, pictures of women. It's cool, I do shoot women also, but I don't want to be just categorized as the photographer who just shoots women or just one. I feel limited if I just stick to one subject. So I like to go more broad. But more recently, I'm starting to shoot toys and trying to have some meaning behind a lot of the shoots, like some politics. If you look at some of my work, like a baby bottle, but I'll actually stand the baby bottle down and paint it. Use spray can, paint, primer it, and then put an image on there and shoot it. So I like to shoot from the ground up as opposed to grabbing Photoshop and putting certain items in the picture that aren't there or don't exist. That's not really my style. I'm more of a hands-on. I don't like sitting behind the computer to make things appear that aren't really there. But I will mess with like the contrast a little, if someone's got a little zit. But generally I try to not overkill anything I shoot with Photoshop. It's not my style. And I think if you do too much Photoshop, will just make the picture just seem, I don't know. It just looks, I don't know the wording for it. Not cheesy, just, I don't know, just not my style. The least amount of Photoshop, I think, the better I feel about my work. But I've had some of my work, people thought it was Photoshop, but it's just not. I just don't add images and things inside something that's not there. That's pretty much it. And I get a lot of supplies from these guys, they're pretty cool. My first camera that I actually really said I should do more photography was a Polaroid. Instant Polaroid, I don't remember what year it was an antique thing. Or vintage or whatever you want to call it. I started shooting clouds. I did that for about a year, and during that period I was separating myself from everyone. And that pretty much kept me from getting bored and depressed and not having anyone around but my camera, so that kept my mind pretty occupied. It kept me pretty sane, I guess you could say. And if it wasn't for the camera, I would just be, I don't know. If it wasn't for the camera, I'd be a very bored person because I'm always looking for something new and ideas I want to play with. And with the camera, I could do that. I could come up with ideas and build off ideas. So my mind's always running. but it's not running like on drama or running on like, oh, life's this, life's that, life's got to be this way, I got to follow this pattern, I got to do what they're doing. With my camera, it's like stress relief. I'm like, yeah, this is my outlet. This is, you know, a healthy outlet. Though, even though at times I get carried away where I can be very excessive and people just like, get out of my way, your camera. So I gotta, like, I don't know. Years ago, I got hit by maybe 8 years ago. I was taking a class and I had a project to shoot pictures of people on the streets and objects, and I think it was supposed to be in black and white. I saw an old homeless guy with a cart. I visualized him blocking the whole world out of him, you know. I could be wrong. That was my imagination. He just blocked everything out of him, sitting on the curb. So I pulled over, parking spot, right next to the cart, crosswalk. It was a major street. And I had to shoot it. I'm like, I gotta get this before I'm out of time. I was gung-ho. I felt like, at the time, I thought I might have wanted to be a photojournalist. Pulled over, running across the street, trying to get this image. I wasn't paying attention to light. Originally, I thought it was red, but when I crossed it, I was trying to get the camera focused to shoot this guy. As soon as I stepped out, I looked, this car started screeching on his brakes. I'm like, oh shit, the light changed. This bug just nailed me in my leg, picked me up. I dented the hood. Yeah, I dented the hood. As I hit the windshield, I was trying to grab, I remember my legs were flying in the air. I was like, grab something. I've never felt so hopeless. And I see all these people slow-mo looking in the air. I don't know. I'm not exaggerating. This is like, I don't know how I survived that, to be honest. As a person, it made me realize, well, I realized, okay, photojournalism in wartime kind of situations, not for me. They're dodging bullets, and I just went through this trauma full. I'm like, I don't want to be a photojournalism, wartime photographer.
Okay, so where's the next place?
The next place we're going at is where I get a lot of inspiration from. I'll sometimes come out here and spend at least an hour and look at people's artwork, and we got comic books there, so I'll look at there and I'll get some inspiration. Might sound weird, comic books, but I'm like, yeah, you know, not very many of them around. I like to look somewhere where most people wouldn't look, I guess. I even sometimes look at French magazines, and I can't even read French to get inspiration because their photography is like, I don't know, not so sensitized, or what do you call it? So censored. So I look at a lot of German, French magazines, anything European. I look; those actually are photographers that I look at to get some ideas. But U.S. photographers, I just like, I don't know. There might be one or two, but generally I just not my style, not for me. And this place has a lot of cool art shows, and I've got some cool ideas for them. And they've actually inspired me to start playing around with Star Wars, because I tried to have a show there once, and I'm like, hey man, tax return again. I'm like, how much it costs this and that? I go, I'll give you $1,000 for 2 days, or what's the going rate? And they're like, you just gotta have, your art's gotta be good enough. You just can't have, someone just because they got money, rent a spot out and show their work. They're not like that. So they're really passionate about their artists and who shows their stuff there. And that's when I was like, damn, all right. Now I know these people really good. And I felt like, they go, why don't you start, and this one guy, Francisco, manager there, he goes, why don't you start shooting, more of what we're into, like, it's a comic book store, and I was like, okay, Star Wars, I think, would be cool. Star Wars, well, politically, I like it, it's kind of like, I look at it as like being, the U.S. in general, we're the stormtroopers going into the countries, invading. They're pretty powerful, in general, like we're the most powerful. We just dominate. And then the rebellion would be like everyone else, pretty much. The movies, I look at us as being like the dark side, kind of, in a way. Like just all around the U.S. is just sometimes we go in other countries saying we're going there for this reason and that reason. And yeah, we're taking oil, but people seem to block out like why we're really there for. We're there to, it's got to be some financial gain. We're not just going there just to be the saviors or Superman, you know. There's more to it than what we really say. That's my opinion.